To begin, one must understand what a crime victim is. A crime victim is a person who's been directly harmed, either physically, emotionally, or financially, as a result of commission of a federal offense. The crimes that are involved in criminal act include criminally injurious conduct. This means any conduct that occurs or is attempted to pose a substantial threat of personal injury or death. Some examples are sex offenses, kidnapping, aggravated robbery, arson, and homicide. The crime victims' right movement in the United States was founded on the idea that around the late modern period, the American justice system strayed away from the victim-centric origins. This movement was meant to provide victims a more meaningful role in criminal proceedings. The victims' rights movement was revolved around two central beliefs. The first one was a perception that our legal system was more concerned with the protection of constitutional rights of criminal offenders as opposed to actual victims of crime offenses. Advocates wanted to see affirmative help for crime victims to be at least extensive as provided by offenders, and also for victims to receive partial compensation from the offender. The second belief was that the number of released or paroled offenders returning to attack original victims or their families was highly increasing. Since 1982, 33 states have amended their own state constitutions to address victims' rights, and all 50 states have passed victims' rights legislation. That same year, the United States Congress passed the first piece of federal crime victims' rights legislation, known as the Victim and Witness Protection Act. Most state victim rights amendments provide for prosecutors to stay in touch with victims and their families during all the stages of prosecutions, to stay in touch with them post-conviction, to advise them of the events of the trial, such as parole hearings, applications for pardons, or other forms of executive clemency. They may even require that any pay received by offender while being incarcerated partially goes toward compensation for the victim. The Crime Victims' Rights Act was enacted in October of 2004. It provides victims their rights in federal criminal cases. There are 8 major rights given to the victim under federal law. Under the Crime Victims' Rights Act, these rights include the right to be reasonably protected from the accused offender, the right to a reasonable, accurate, and timely notice of any public court proceedings or any parole proceedings involving the crime, right to be treated with fairness and with respect for victims' dignity and privacy, right to be reasonably heard at any public proceeding in the court involving release, plea, sentencing, or any parole proceeding, and also the right to a full and timely restitution as provided in law. Here are my references. Thank you.